Hey guys, today I'm doing the much requested video of my classroom tour. So, not to keep it waiting much longer, welcome to my classroom. Welcome to my small group area. So this is where a lot of my instruction happens within my classroom. It's going to be where I spend the majority of my day. The back of my small group area is where I keep all of my teacher materials. I found that having a teacher desk was I would just clutter it. There were papers that were just like piling up on top. It was literally like a placeholder for everything that I was doing throughout the day. And I don't typically sit behind a teacher desk. So this is what I did instead. I got a shelf from Walmart, and it's just nothing fancy, a very simple shelf. The two top shelves that I have here, I keep a lot of my assessments so that I can easily access them. I also have my teacher binders down at the bottom, and these are just, again, resources that I'm going to be using throughout the week, or if I needed to look something up. I have it quick and easy behind my table. Some other things that I have for my kind of teacher area are my two black file cabinets, and they're just very small file cabinets. But on one side, I have an area for teacher resources. So this could be behaviors charts, or any kind of papers that I have that relate to behavior, homework items. It could be transportation items, just various things that I may be using, again, just throughout the week. Down at the bottom are student resources, and I will keep like a lot of my reading comprehension charts, any kind of comprehension tools that I may be using. All of those are filed there, again, just for easy access. For this top file cabinet, on the very top drawer, I keep a lot of my papers that I'm organizing for the weeks ahead. So whether it be for the next day, I organize it by day, and I'm going to do another post on how I organize my paper input and output. At the very bottom, I keep a lot of just like a placeholder for any games that we're doing inside of the classroom, and that just allows me to be able to tuck it away so that when I'm finished with those games, I can file them back and put them back inside the cabinets in our back room. I also have two small pocket charts that allow me to put up any of our focus items for small group for that week. So I have some chunk cards, I have letter cards, our high frequency words, any picture cards, and I also keep some extra sentence strips down here at the bottom. And this is just a really nice tool for me to be able to have it up the entire time while I'm teaching small group. It allows my kids to reference back to it. I also have a paper file that sits here, and this allows any paper that I'm using for that day that maybe needs to get filed or it needs to be copied. It's something that comes in from the office and it needs to get put somewhere else later. It goes all here first before I organize it. So the next really big important area behind my small group that serves as kind of my teacher area, but a teacher before me had actually done this herself. She took a metal board, and then she also had cork boards, and she just hot glued them up here. And actually this is a window. It looks into the back room that we have, so it just kind of covers it all up so you don't see what's happening. But I keep a lot of the important things up here. I have my kids' list names up here, so if I wanted to make a quick list check, I have that here. I have a little extra to-do list if I wanted to just have a scrap piece of paper. That happens often. Anything that's important that's from the office, again, just comes up here until I'm ready to review it or send it back. I have extra questioning cards. Our mission statement goes here. Our focuses for reading comprehension come up here. So just anything that I might be using and just need to kind of reference to goes up in this area. Doesn't seem quite organized, but I promise it is. Down here at the bottom, I have a lot of my student materials that I'll be using. Here is just a toolbox that I use to organize any kind of office supplies. So my rubber bands, my glue sticks, my pens, erasers, staples, etc. go there. Down at the very bottom of it, I have one little, I guess this is meant to hold either tools or nails or some type of craft I use it for my coupons. This is one of our reward systems. So my kids know if they're going to get a coupon, this is where they come and get it. So all of this area back here, my kids can come back and get to, because I feel like if I had to get something for every single kid in the room, I would never get any teaching done. So they know exactly where everything is in my room. I also have 2 of these. One of them holds my lowercase letters, and I have another one that holds my uppercase letters. And these will get used to help fill my red baskets that are up here at the top. So speaking of my red baskets, I have 6 red baskets and then 1 blue basket that I keep up here at all times. And these are meant for my small group area. So once I'm ready to do small groups, these baskets will get placed like so. And they'll be all around my table so that my students know that when they sit down, the tools that they're going to use during small group are going to be right next to them. Up here at the top, I just have a little, I don't even know what this is called. It's just something to hold all of my pencils, my markers, and my Sharpies. And it's just a nice little spot, and my kids know where this is, and they understand what it's for, and they can come back and grab anything that they need from here as well. I also have an acrylic stand here in the back. I keep my name tag here, and I cannot tell you how many times my kids ask me, Miss Backman, can I go get your name tag? Because they don't remember how to spell my name, but they know it's back here. So they always come back and get it so that they can use it for their writing, or for various purposes. Sometimes they write me sweet little love cards. So I have this acrylic stand back here. It just holds any type of resources that we might be using. So for reading, I have my 5-finger retell. For writing, I have a writing tracking where they can track the writing process. Just various little things that I might be using during small group or reading or writing or anything, to be honest. So speaking more about small groups, I have our little sand buckets here with, we use these for the Orton Gillingham teaching model it's for dyslexia, but we're using it for spelling. So I have these here, and then I also have our little sand bucket. Here I have a lot of my small group books, and I have them organized by lessons. So each of the little cards will tell me about where the lessons are, and each lesson will have the various levels of books. So if I look here, I know that the red is for my lower, I have blue, and then I have green. The colorful one is for my ESL learners. I don't typically use all of these books all the time. Sometimes I don't use any of those books. It just really depends on what I'm teaching during my small group. Here I have extra materials that we might be using. I typically keep a lot of these little baskets because a lot of the times if we're doing some type of math activity or writing or reading activity, and I need them to have groups and supplies, I will go ahead and pre-fill these so that I'm not spending so much time passing things out. So I keep those there. Again, I have just more baskets. I keep cups in here. I keep various little spinners that we use for math and reading will be inside of here. It's just a nice little area for me to be able to quickly access anything I may need for their reading and math. Okay, so now that we've talked about everything that's behind my small group area, let's focus on what I have at my table. I try to keep my table as clean as possible. Now, during the day, I will admit that my table can be a little bit messy because I am a very messy teacher. As I'm teaching, it gets really messy in my room. But down on either side, underneath my small group, I have 2 plastic kind of drawer systems that I got from Target. One of them has skinnier ones, and there are 4 or 5 different drawers. The one on the other side only has 3. Now, the one that has 5 I use for small group. So I organize my small group lessons through them. So red group has a drawer, and I put all the red group materials inside of there. So every week I change those out depending on what I'm teaching for that small group. On this side, I keep various materials. So it could be math materials, it could be reading and writing, just things that I need to get to that I might be using within my small group time. Okay, so now this is my math area in my classroom. I don't typically teach math here. This is just kind of where I house all of my math materials and my math workshop area. So in the mornings when my kids come in, every morning they have a daily data that they have to answer. This is a way for me to be able to keep attendance, and it also gets us to know a little bit more about each other. We get to focus again on numbers. We start to compare them, writing number sentences. It's just a really great way to expose my kids to numbers in general. So this is where they do their daily data. If you do want to know more about how I do my daily data, and then I also keep my counting jar materials here, I have a vlog that I did and I talked all about it in detail. So I'll leave a link down below for that. So if you want to know more about my counting jars. On the shelves down here at the bottom, I keep math manipulatives. So each bucket has a different type of manipulative, and I just slap a little label on it. My kids know that if they ever did need any type of manipulative, that they would just come and grab it themselves. Again, with student resources for math, I have these blue buckets, and my kids know to come and grab anything. This one's specifically for counting collections. Over here at this little bucket, I have it as just kind of a whenever I'm done with any type of math, they can come and grab this folder, and it has just various activities that they can do just to kind of quickly refresh themselves and practice some of that that fluency in math. In the last two buckets down at the bottom, I have Rec and Recs that we use for number talks. So we keep those here. Now the next big part is math workshop. So here is my math workshop board. And I've done a complete blog post about how I came up with the CHAMP idea of it, and also how I do my math workshop. So if you want to know more about that, again, I'll just leave a link down below. I feel like if I sat here and tried to explain every single little thing to you guys, this would probably be an hour video, and I don't want it to be that long. But just really quick, this is just kind of our rotation system. We do one every day. We don't do all of them in one day. We just do one. But they will visit all 5 letters throughout the week. Then I also have a spot for our estimation station. Now this is something that I only do within the second semester for kindergarten. We don't do it in the first semester. So estimation station, whenever one of my kids are going to, I designate computer as that spot, so they know if they're going to computers or iPads for their rotation that day, that they have to stop at estimation station. So they will get have a little stamp here. It is so cute. I found it at Target in the dollar spot. So they have a little stamp. They'll stamp it on a sticky note. Then they'll write the number that they guess of what's inside of the jar. And then they'll stick it up here. On Fridays, we'll go through and we'll count it, and then we'll figure out who had the closest estimate. I also have another spot for just anchor charts that we may have in math. That we'll create together. Right now my kids were working on even, Steven, odd, Todd. We've been doing it for a while, but now we've transitioned that into our counting jar in the morning. So I left that up here just as a reference for them. Our math workshop stations are in the black buckets. Underneath, inside of the white buckets, they have their math journals. And underneath each of the white buckets are going to be 4 trays that they'll use for math workshop. Now they don't always use it, it's just there as an option, especially if we're working with manipulatives. It allows them to keep a smaller space so they're not all spread out in the floor. And then the yoga mat on top of each of the cookie sheets lets them to not make, it helps to reduce the amount of noise that they have in the classroom. So I have this little cozy spot here for my students, and the one thing that I wanted to talk to you about is that inside of these ottomans I keep various things. In this one they have clipboards that they can easily grab whenever they need it, and we do lots of activities where they're out on the floor, so clipboards are a huge necessity for them, or else they'll be poking holes inside of their worksheets. Another thing that we have are some whiteboards. And again, it's just materials that they need. They can get to it very easily, and they don't have to ask me for it. Plus, it just makes for a nice little area for my kids to go and partner in. The next area in my room, I think, is like the really big focus thing that you see right when you first walk in. And it's because it's literally the first thing that you see when you walk in my room. But it is my word wall, and I absolutely love, love, love my word wall. When I first came up with my theme, and it's a superhero theme in my side of my classroom, I wanted to do some type of city backdrop. So I took black butcher paper and I literally just started cutting and constructing my backdrop. I used a double-sided tape just to tape it, and this is a dry erase, magnetic dry erase board. The reason why I love it onto this board is because it allows my word wall to be interactive. So my students are always taking and pulling them and using them in their writings during reading, writing, and math, but it's very easy for them to come up and just find a word and be able to pull it and use it. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was a little bit of a behavior thing that I use in my classroom. So I keep it as like table teams. And I have my superhero, and his name is Super Steve. And Super Steve is always watching for really awesome behavior. So he kind of is looking at the tables to see who's doing their superhero best. And as the day goes on, Super Steve will move. At the end of the week, whoever has the most tally marks gets a special prize. Now this can literally be anything. Sometimes if I didn't have time to do anything special, it is literally a coupon. It's them going to the treasure box. It could be that I have some type of sweet treat, anything, everything that you can think of. I mean, they even love erasers. So things that are really, really simple. Down here at the bottom is kind of the beginning of my books, my reading books. The blue baskets hold my leveled readers. So I have them leveled from AA all the way to K. I don't typically try to take my kids any higher than an I or a J, but I do have K just in there just for the safe side. The black baskets is where I start to have a lot of my classroom library books. And at the very beginning of the year, I had my students organize those books themselves. So they came up with the different categories so that whenever they're putting their books away, they're not having to come to Mrs. Fackman and say, where do I put this? I don't remember what kind of book this is. Or I'm not having to sit there for hours upon hours trying to put numbers, sticky numbers on each of my books. They are really taking ownership and they're able to know where everything gets put. Actually, they're a lot better at it than I am. A lot of the times I have to ask my own students where my books are because I don't even remember. So this is where I have some of my books, and then I hold all of my other books within my library area. Okay, so in this little corner inside of my room, I keep my writing area. Up here, I have various writing charts that we're focusing on in writing at that time. Right now, you see nonfiction features. Now, we created this during reading a few months ago, but I pulled it out for writing time just because I wanted my kids to really focus on that during their informational writing unit, was adding more nonfiction features. So I stuck this back up here. Down here in this black pocket chart, I keep thematic vocabulary cards that they could be using. So any type of words that they might be using that will relate inside of their writing, but it also relates to what we're learning in our thematic unit. So that they can also spell it correctly. So they can always come back over here, find the card, and be able to use it within their writing. I keep a tall file cabinet here, and inside of this file cabinet, I have my color files, my alphabet files, word families, and then more word families at the bottom. So these are just quick resources that as I'm planning my week, usually at the beginning of the week or at the end of the week, this is where I will pull my files or put them back. It's just nice to have it right in my room that I can access it very quickly. Okay, so I have two of these shelves inside of my classroom. So inside of their writing binders, they have just a simple cover that I wrote their name at the bottom. The special part about my writing binders that I love the most is the file system that we have. So they have a green, a yellow, and a red folder that I've placed inside of it. The green means that they're continuing working, that they're not finished with that writing just yet. The yellow will hold any type of resources, writing resources that they need to use while writing. And then the red is any finished work that they've actually completed. So I like the way that we've organized this. In the past, I've used just a simple file folder, and I didn't quite like how messy it was, and it wasn't easy to be able to store their resources nice and neat. So the binder system has been an absolute wonderful thing for my class. At the top, I have two buckets, and we used to use these buckets to store our writing binders, but I wasn't loving that system that much. So now I just keep them here, and my students have learned to be able to place them correctly. They're not in the correct order, but that's okay. And they're able to easily look and find their number, which is written down at the bottom. and they put them up quite nicely. So right now these are just kind of placeholders, so it's not an empty shelf. All right, so welcome to my library area in my classroom. The one thing that I want to kind of draw your attention to are my windows. Now, right now I have them covered up with this big, huge timeline, but I love my windows. I was actually in a room that had no windows, and I was there for 2 years. So when I moved into this one, I was in love. The light is just so beautiful throughout the day, and I love to just be able to look at the trees. So in my library area, I have 2 large shelves, and I got these from IKEA. So this is where a lot of my library books are going to be. I have black baskets that I bought from Walmart when I first started teaching, and these have held up really well. On each of the book boxes are little tags. So like I said before, my students were able to organize the books themselves. So once they had all the categories that they wanted their books in, all I did is made the tags, and then I tied them on with a ribbon. This allows me to very easily and quickly every year just be able to take them off and then put a new one on. Another thing that you'll notice with my library area is that I have a lot of picture frames on top of my shelves. And the reason for the picture frames is to help build some of that classroom community. So at the very beginning of the year, I send out a letter with my parents and ask them to bring in a picture of them and their family, their child and their family, so that my kids can put them up and actually kind of feel like, okay, this classroom is a little bit of my own. It's a little bit of me and it's part of my family. So I create that classroom community by adding those up here. So these stay up here all year, and at the very end, we send them home. In the back, I have my bookshelf, and this will carry all of my thematic books that we're learning. So it changes with my theme, and my kids will use these to do a lot of the research that we use throughout each of the thematic units. So this is the second white shelf that I have in my room. The first one was holding my writing binders. This one holds my data binders. Now you're gonna see that my data binders are not all there because I'm getting ready for parent conferences. So as I've been finishing up with my data binders, I've been putting them in a basket and getting all of my papers ready for that. But I do still have a few here left, and they just have their numbers down at the bottom. I have extra markers that my kids use during kind of free choice times. And then the really important thing that I have here are my expert tubs. And this is for math. So whenever my students are finished playing with a math game, or if their math station doesn't last as long as some of the other math stations last, they know that they can clean up and then just come and grab a game that we have already had countless times practicing. Up at the top, I keep my writing paper, and I have 6 trays for this because I keep a lot of different variations of writing paper, because all of my kids are going to be at different levels, and not all of my kids are going to be writing the same type of story. So I like to make sure that I keep these completely stocked. Okay, so off at the far end of my classroom, I have some white shelves that I got from Walmart. And these shelves will hold my book boxes. So each kid is given a color book box. I have them in red, blue, and gray. And I don't really keep these for any reason. They're colors of my classroom, and it's really easy for me to be able to dismiss students by their color book box. So if we're in during reading time, I can say, all right, if you have a red book box, I want you to go grab yours and then go find a spot for independent reading, because we always start with independent reading first. So my kids keep their reading journals inside of this. They'll also keep 3 leveled books and then 2 of the class library books inside. And they'll use this throughout the day. So a lot of the times when my kids finish something really quick, they know that they can automatically just go grab their book box and sit down and read. I also keep some free choice items up here. This helps them to kind of with their social skills, with some of that imaginative play. So I have various types of free choice items back here as well. Inside of this little white file holder, I got this from Target. Inside of this, I have their table numbers, and they have different kind of drawing and writing materials. So I'll keep colored pencils, skinny markers, fat markers, extra crayons, so that my kids know that if they wanted to use some type of different coloring, they can come and grab their drawer for their table. Back in this section of my classroom, I have a kitchen set. This kitchen set was already here inside of this classroom, but it is nice for when my kids have free choice time or we have some of those social centers, they can come and use this one. The classroom also has 3 built-in shelves. The first one that I have here just kind of keeps extra materials. These are materials that I got from the county. So all of those materials stay in here. I don't necessarily use all of these all of the time, but I'm weird and I don't like to kind of throw any of those things away, so I just kind of store them over here in this area. The next 2 that I have will keep my thematic units. And here I just kind of organize it by theme. I wrote it on the side with a Sharpie because it was the easiest at that time when I started it. And so whenever I'm planning all of my theme units, I just pull these binders out. On this side again, I have more thematic binders. I also keep a lot of my teaching books in this area. These are books that I really don't want my kids messing with because they're my main teaching books and I want these to last for a really long time. I have 2 small computers down here at the bottom that my kids will use for various different things. We'll use them in reading and math, and then we'll use them for different group activities as well. I also have a shelf here that has different drawers, and these will hold construction paper, so I have it organized by color. So my kids know that if they needed something for some type of a project, they can come and grab construction paper here. Alright, so now this is going to start leading you into my whole group area, but I really quick wanted to talk to you about what's happening back in this small area. So this is my big book stand, and behind my big book stand I have various big books that I will use throughout the week or during my thematic units. I will also hold my they were all tumbling out. I will also hold my calendar month cards back here so that I can change them out easily. I keep a superhero box that has just various materials. I only do that because I don't want it to look messy. So I have little spinners, I have extra crayons, I have some of my smelly wax. Oh, it smells so good. This is Gain. It smells so good. So I have that in there too that I can easily access. I have my little popsicle sticks for me to be able to pull my kids. So a lot of the times when they're having a lot of trouble with calling out, I will say, I'm going to use this, and I pull this out and my kids get really quiet. So it works fantastic. I also have a little bucket of transition cards. I will leave a link down below where I found these. These are fantastic. So right before we're about to transition to something else, I can quickly just pull one of these cards and say, okay, do cat and hat rhyme? And they have to be able to tell me whether or not they rhyme. So great little transition cards. I also have this little bucket. Now, I did not come up with this. I had a maternity teacher, my teacher who took over for my classroom for my maternity leave. She actually did this, and I was so grateful to her for this. But she took little index cards, which is brilliant, and she added a little tab and she wrote down each of the various things that I use for my calendar. So like my rainy days, cloudies, my month cards, my holiday cards, anything and everything. So all of my math materials are right here for calendar. Okay, so here is my whole group area. And if you see behind me, I have a baby. He just woke up from his nap. So I'm gonna try to see how well we can go through this with him awake. So this is my whole group area, and in the chair that Blaine is sitting on right now is typically where I sit to do my math instruction. So I keep my math calendar back here. I have this one, I'll leave it linked down below. I bought it off of Amazon, but I love this calendar just because I have the yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I keep my days of the week cards, and then it has all of this extra space up here too. So that is really nice. I have how many days we've been in school, and I do this with 10 frames, which is wonderful because it helps kids look at place value, and then we can count by 10s, we can count by 5s. There's just so much that you can do with the 10 frames and how many days we've been in school. I have a pocket chart up here for math vocabulary. I keep our coins so that we can reference back to them here during our calendar time. I have our days of the week cards, and then I also have our month cards. But to be honest, I only spend about 5 minutes of my instruction for math during calendar. I don't spend much more of that time here. Over here in this area, I have some pockets, file folders. Again, I'll leave a link down below for that one. He's trying to write on it. So I'll leave a link down below for these pockets here. But I keep my targets up here, and I keep them on the dry erase only because it's so easy for me to be able to change them out throughout the week. I have a very nice smart board that Blaine is trying to display for you right now. It does work, but I don't have the projector on, so he can't see what's happening there. I have these nice little IKEA drawer holders that Blaine is taking out to demonstrate for you. Up here in the green ones are my smart centers. If you want me to go through and talk to you more about how I do smart centers and what exactly smart centers are, I will be more than happy to do that. I'll just have to do it in a different video because I can talk about it forever. I keep my number talks up here with some extra dry erase boards that I have, and this is what we'll use during whole group time. Number talks, again, is just another way, practices that we do. It's a math warm-up that allows kids to start seeing numbers visually and being able to look at combinations of numbers. So we'll do these about 3 times a week. Another little area that I forgot to mention is I have this little basket back here. To be honest, I don't remember where exactly I got the basket from. I think I got it from Home Goods, but I'm not 100% sure. But I keep anchor charts that we've done in the past that I want to reference to. So I'll roll up my anchor charts and I'll just leave them here. And if, for instance, like our nonfiction features that we had to come back to during our writing, I just pulled that one out and I posted it up because that's what we were focusing on. All right, so focusing on my desk. And I told you guys that I don't really have a teacher desk, and this doesn't really serve as a teacher desk. It serves as I'm going to hold my computer here and the hover cam here so I can turn my projector and my smart board on. So I have He wants all the Play-Doh. Here, baby. Whoa, it's white Play-Doh. Okay, so I have a hover cam here that allows for me to project anything that I'm doing on my desk onto my smart board, which is a lifesaver. If I was ever to leave this school and to go to a different one and they did not have one of these, I would definitely try to invest in one of these because this is a fantastic tool to have in your classroom. Inside of this drawer, I just have some really quick small materials that I might be using if I'm demonstrating anything over here by the hover cam. I have my CPU down here at the bottom. And I also keep journals. So I keep an example math journal here. I'll keep my example writing journal here. So anytime I'm trying to show my kids or model for them what they're supposed to be doing in a certain subject area, I will pull these out so that they can see that. Up here at the top are my focus pocket charts. So here I have some high frequency words that we've been focusing on. I have our chunks that we're focusing on. I have a little letter little picture flip. I don't know what to call this. But I have these inside of my units for my letters and sounds, and I will leave a link down below for these. We play really quick games with these, so they're nice to have. I also, on my desk, keep a little, and I got this from IKEA, but it just keeps little push pins, so that if ever I need to post anything up here, whether it's an anchor chart or anything, I have those quickly and easily accessible. Okay, so my whole group area is huge, and I love this wall. This is actually a kind of divider wall that leads into another classroom back here, but I just put fabric over it so that it just looks better, to be honest. So up here, to finish off my whole group wall, I have an ABC chart. In this kind of big space here, I use it as more of an anchor chart for our thematic units. Right now we're doing Valentine's and friendship, so I have a big heart here to kind of talk about some of the different things that we love. So we'll keep adding to this throughout the rest of next week. I also have this really nice stand. It's a dry erase on one side, and then it's like a the felt fabric, I can't think of the word right now, but it has that fabric on the other side. So we use this for our morning message. Here I will also keep our high frequency word song that we're doing for that week. So I have the word go up here right now. If you turn it over, you'll notice that I have all of our anchor charts here. This is where we will build a lot of the anchor charts that we'll use in the classroom. And then I have a really big black pocket chart. Anytime that we're using any kind of sentence stems or we're organizing information, we'll do it on top of, inside of this pocket chart. So we are almost to the end of the classroom tour. So to finish it off, I wanted to show you my transportation kind of form of the way I keep track of my transportation. I got this from another teacher a few years ago and I loved it. So we go based on a bell system. So we have first, second, third, fourth, and fourth bell. And each bell will have certain people that leave, whether it's a different type of bus, car riders, walkers, etc. So I have them here and I used different colored Astro Brights paper, laminated them, and then I glued them, hot glued them onto the wall. So I dismissed them here. My kids will line up. I'll say, all right, first bell, line up. And then I can just say their names and they walk out as they go. This is just a very nice way for me to pretty much feel really confident about how my kids are going home. Down underneath at the bottom, I have my mailboxes, and this is where my kids will put their red communication folder, and this is where we sort any type of papers that need to go home. I have a white basket for them to be able to turn any of the materials in to me. We keep Kleenexes here for their runny noses, and then I also have these little cups, and inside of the cups are different colors, so each cup has a different colored paper. And we keep high frequency words inside of these. So during the week, after they finish their counting jar, they will have various activities, again, just during the week, where they will do things with words. So it could be that they build words, it's that they're writing words, it's that they're looking for words, but they'll use these and they'll take one cup to each table and pull it out and they'll say the word and they have to do whatever the task is for it. I keep them here because I found that if I left them at their tables, they played with them a lot. Okay, so that is the end of my classroom tour. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions about anything that you saw in the tour that you want me to explain further, just leave it down below in the comment section and I will do my very best to answer all of them. If you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. And thanks so much for coming and joining me in my classroom. Talk to you guys soon. Bye! This is a planner that I did a video on. I will leave a link down below if you want to see how I plan and how I set up my teacher planner. So I keep